The observation deck of Valar Station stretched out like a massive dome of glass, offering a view of the void that made even seasoned spacers hold their breath. Captain Daeho Kim stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the parade of warships that floated past the station. Each vessel was a monument to alien power, each one a reminder of how small Earth's navy truly was. The Veltar dreadnought passed first, its hull black as obsidian and nearly 6 kilometers from bow to stern. Weapon ports lined its surface like the eyes of some ancient beast. Behind it came 3 more, slightly smaller but no less impressive. Daeho had read the reports. Each one could reduce a planet's surface to glass within hours. Impressive, aren't they? A voice spoke from behind him. Daeho turned to see Ambassador Jiho Lee approaching. The older man's face carried the weight of countless diplomatic failures. For 23 years he had represented Earth at the Galactic Union, and for 23 years he had been treated like a child at an adult's table. "They want us to be impressed," Daeho replied. "They want us to feel small." "They don't have to try very hard," Jiho said with a tired smile.
He joined Daeho at the window.
"The summit begins in an hour. I'll be requesting our seat on the Security Council again. And they'll refuse again. Yes, but we have to keep asking. It's the only way forward." Daeho said nothing. He had served in Earth's Navy for 15 years, rising from ensign to captain through skill and determination. His ship, the ESS Indomitable, waited in the lower docks. She was a destroyer, barely 400 meters long. Compared to the alien warships outside, she looked like a toy. The summit chamber was a circular room with seats arranged in rising tiers. The most powerful species sat at the bottom, closest to the central podium. Earth's delegation sat near the top in the cheap seats reserved for minor members. Daeho attended as military advisor, though he suspected his real purpose was to witness Earth's humiliation firsthand. Supreme Commander Thexvar of the Veltar Empire took the podium first. He was nearly 3 meters tall, with skin like gray leather and 4 arms that moved with unsettling grace. His species had ruled this sector of space for 2,000 years. "We gathered today to discuss matters of galactic security," Thexvar began, his voice deep and resonant. "The Outer Rim raids continue. The Quinn Collective reports increased pirate activity near their trade routes. These are serious matters requiring serious response." He paused, letting his gaze sweep across the chamber. "Some have suggested expanding the Security Council, adding new voices to our most important decisions." His eyes found the Earth delegation. "I ask you, my colleagues, what wisdom would be gained from including those who play with toys in the adults' ocean?" Laughter rippled through the chamber. Not polite chuckles, but genuine amusement. Daeho felt his jaw tighten. Ambassador Jiho stood, his voice calm despite the insult. "The Veltar commander's metaphor is colorful, but Earth has proven its commitment to the Union. We have participated in every trade agreement, contributed to relief efforts, and maintained peaceful relations with all member species." "You have done the minimum required," interrupted High Admiral Vortes of the Quinn Collective. The insectoid creature clicked its mandibles in what might have been amusement. "You possess no significant military force. Your economy is small. Your technology is centuries behind ours. What exactly do you bring to the Security Council?" "A different perspective," Jiho replied. "Fresh ideas." "The willingness to what?" "To learn from your betters?" Fortes stood, its 6 legs carrying it toward the podium with spider-like precision. Perhaps a demonstration would be educational. "Captain Kim, is it? Your destroyer is docked here, yes?" Daeho stood slowly. "It is. Excellent. I propose a training exercise. My cruiser, the Eternal Supremacy, against your Indomitable. A simple tactical scenario. No live weapons, of course. Just sensors and simulations." Vortes's compound eyes glittered. "It will help us understand Earth's military capabilities better." The chamber erupted in approving murmurs. Daeho understood immediately what was happening. This wasn't about training. It was about putting Earth in its place publicly and completely. "We accept," Daeho said, his voice cutting through the noise. The chamber fell silent. Ambassador Jiho turned to stare at him, shock evident on his face. Daeho kept his eyes locked on Vortes. "Excellent," the Quinn Admiral said, mandibles spreading in what might have been a smile. 3 days from now, the exercise will be broadcast across Union space. Let us all learn together." After the session ended, Daeho found himself in a side chamber with Admiral Mina Park's holographic projection. The Admiral commanded Earth's entire naval force from her office in Geneva. Her face was stern, lined with the stress of commanding a fleet everyone considered a joke. "You accepted without authorization," she said. "Yes. Hamas, you committed my navy to a public embarrassment." "Yes, ma'am." Admiral Park was quiet for a long moment. Then unexpectedly she smiled. "Good, make them work for it, Captain. Make them earn their victory. Show them that even if we can't win, we won't make it easy. We'll do our best, Admiral. I know you will." She leaned forward slightly. "Captain, I'm sending you an encrypted file. Level 9 security. Don't open it until after the exercise," Deho frowned. "What is it?" "Hope," Admiral Park said simply. "Now go prepare your ship. You have 3 days to figure out how to last as long as possible against an enemy that outguns you 3-1. The hologram faded, leaving Deho alone with his thoughts. He pulled up the specifications of the Eternal Supremacy on his datapad. The Quinn cruiser was 900 meters long, armed with plasma cannons that could melt through the Indomitable's armor in seconds. Its shields could absorb punishment that would vaporize Earth's destroyer. But Deho had not become captain by accepting defeat. He had 3 days to study the enemy, to find weaknesses, to develop tactics that might give them a chance. Not to win, he wasn't foolish enough to believe that was possible, but to last long enough to prove Earth's Navy deserved respect. He thought about Admiral Park's final words. Hope. What? Hope could exist in an encrypted file? What could possibly change the fundamental reality of Earth's technological disadvantage? Deho pushed the questions aside. He had a ship to prepare and a crew to train. Whatever secrets Admiral Park kept, they would remain secrets until the time was right. He left the chamber and headed for the docks. The Indomitable waited for him, small and outmatched, but still his ship. Still Earth's ship. In 3 days, the galaxy would watch them fight. In 3 days, they would show these aliens that humanity didn't know how to surrender easily. The observation windows showed the alien warships in all their terrible glory. Deho looked at them without fear. They were larger, stronger, more advanced, but they had forgotten something important, something humanity had learned through centuries of warfare on their homeworld. Size wasn't everything. Technology wasn't everything. Sometimes the will to fight mattered most. 3 days. The thought repeated in his mind like a mantra. In 3 days they would see what Earth's Navy could do. The Indomitable hung in space near Valar's largest moon, her hull gleaming under the system's pale sun. Inside the bridge, Captain Deho Kim reviewed the tactical display one final time. 3 days of preparation had led to this moment. 3 days of studying enemy patterns, running simulations, and drilling his crew until they moved like a single organism. All stations report ready. "Captain," said Commander Borashin from the second officer's station. Her voice was steady, but Deho could hear the tension underneath. Everyone knew what was at stake. Engineering? Deho called out. "Engines at full capacity, Captain," replied Hyun Choi from the engine room below. "I've squeezed every bit of power I can from the reactors. We'll be faster than our specs suggest, but I can't promise how long we can maintain it." "Understood." "Weapons?" Lieutenant Somin Han checked her console. "All railguns loaded and targeting systems calibrated. Missiles ready. Sir, I've programmed some unconventional firing patterns based on your instructions." "Good." Deho took a deep breath. "This is going to be broadcast across the Union. Millions will watch us today. Maybe billions. They expect us to fail quickly. I say we make them watch for as long as possible. Make them remember that Earth doesn't give up." His crew responded with determination in their eyes. They were young, most of them. The oldest besides Deho was Commander Bora at 38. But they were well-trained, and more importantly, they were angry. Angry at being dismissed, at being mocked, at being treated as lesser. The communication system crackled to life. "Earth vessel Indomitable, this is Eternal Supremacy. Are you prepared to begin the exercise?" Deho recognized Vortes's translated voice, smug and confident. "This is Indomitable. We're ready." "Excellent. The rules are simple. Sensors only, no actual weapons fire. The simulation will register hits based on weapon signatures and defensive capabilities. The exercise ends when one vessel registers as destroyed or surrenders. Are these terms acceptable?" "Acceptable." "Let's begin. Very well. May this be educational for you, Captain Kim." The Eternal Supremacy appeared on their sensors, emerging from behind Valar's moon. The Quinn cruiser was massive, bristling with weapon ports. Its shields flickered into active status, creating a shimmering barrier of energy around the hull. "She's beautiful," Soman whispered, then caught herself. "Sorry, sir. Don't apologize for appreciating good engineering," Deho said. "Now let's see if we can scratch that pretty paint." He studied the tactical display. The Quinn cruiser was approaching slowly, confidently. Vortis expected a straightforward fight, ship against ship in open space. That's what the simulation suggested. That's what doctrine required. Deho had no intention of following doctrine. "Helm, take us into the asteroid field full speed." "Sir?" The helmsman hesitated. "You heard me. Hyun, give me everything the engines have." The Indomitable surged forward, accelerating toward the nearby asteroid belt that ringed Vaylor's outer orbit. Behind them, the Eternal Supremacy adjusted course to follow, but more slowly, more carefully. "They're not used to flying in debris fields," Commander Bora observed. "No, they're not. Their ships are too big and expensive to risk. Soman, I want you targeting those asteroids with our railguns. Calculate trajectories that will send debris toward their flight path." Understanding dawned on the weapons officer's face. "Use the environment as a weapon." "Clever, sir." The next 2 hours became a deadly game of cat and mouse among the spinning rocks. Deho pushed the Indomitable through gaps that would have been suicide for a larger vessel. He used the asteroids as shields, as weapons, as decoys. Hyun kept the engines burning beyond their rated capacity, coaxing every bit of speed from systems that groaned in protest. Soman proved her worth repeatedly. She fired precision shots that shattered asteroids, sending jagged fragments tumbling toward the pursuing cruiser. While none could penetrate the Eternal Supremacy's shields, they forced Vortes to slow down, to maneuver cautiously. "We've got their attention now," Bora said with grim satisfaction as the enemy cruiser launched a volley of simulated missiles. "Incoming 17 missiles. Point defense," Deho ordered. "And drop a sensor decoy." The Indomitable's defensive systems came alive, targeting the incoming missiles with rapid-fire calculations. The simulation registered 12 hits on the missiles, destroying them before impact. The remaining 5 struck their shields, which flickered and dropped to 73%. But the sensor decoy worked. A small probe ejected from the Indomitable, broadcasting an energy signature identical to their ship. For precious seconds, half the Quinn weapons targeted the wrong object. Deho used those seconds to execute a micro-jump, the shortest possible faster-than-light hop. The Indomitable vanished from one location and reappeared 300 kilometers away, behind a cluster of larger asteroids. "Brilliant," Bora breathed. "But sir, our FTL drive needs 20 minutes to recharge." "I know. We won't get another jump. Make this one count." From their new position, Soman launched their full complement of missiles, all 64 of them. They streaked through space on different trajectories, weaving between asteroids, approaching the Eternal Supremacy from multiple angles. Vortes's point defense systems opened fire, destroying missile after missile in brilliant flashes of simulated light. But 6 got through, impacting the cruiser's aft shields. The damage wasn't significant, but it was real. For the first time in the exercise, Earth had drawn blood. "Direct hits on enemy shields," Soman reported, her voice excited. "Their aft shield array has dropped to 89%. Deho allowed himself a small smile. Across the galaxy, millions were watching. They had just seen Earth's destroyer land hits on a superior enemy. It wouldn't change the outcome, but it was something. The Eternal Supremacy's response was immediate and overwhelming. The cruiser accelerated, pushing through the asteroid field with less caution now. Vortes had been embarrassed, and embarrassment demanded swift retribution. The Quinn commander demonstrated exactly why his species dominated this region of space. The Eternal Supremacy's weapons opened up in a devastating barrage. Plasma bolts simulated burning paths through space, missiles launched in waves. The targeting was precise, calculated, merciless. Deho threw the Indomitable into evasive maneuvers that would have torn a lesser ship apart. They spun, dove, climbed through 3 dimensions. Hyun pushed the engines until Deho could hear warning alarms echoing from below decks. But it wasn't enough. It could never have been enough. The first simulated hit registered on their starboard side, burning through shields that couldn't recharge fast enough. The second hit followed seconds later. Then a third. The tactical display showed their shields collapsing, their armor failing, their systems going offline one by one. "Shields at 12%, Bora reported. "Weapons offline. Engines at 40% capacity." Deho gripped his command chair. They had lasted almost 2 hours against an enemy that should have destroyed them in minutes. That was something. That was the communications system activated without his permission. Fortes's face appeared on the main screen. His mandibles spread in triumphant amusement. "This is what happens when primitives pretend to be warriors," the Quinn Admiral announced, broadcasting on all frequencies. "Your species should stick to mining asteroids and leave warfare to your betters. You fight with cleverness because you lack strength. You hide because you cannot stand and face us. This is the best Earth has to offer, and it is not nearly enough." The signal went out across Union space, carried to every station, every planet, every ship. Billions would hear those words. Billions would know that Earth had been crushed publicly and completely. Deho closed his eyes for just a moment. Then he opened them and signaled surrender. The simulation ended. The Indomitable was officially destroyed. The exercise was over. In the silence that followed, Deho stood and addressed his crew. They looked defeated, humiliated. He knew that feeling well. "You fought brilliantly today," he told them. "Every one of you. We made them work for this victory. We showed them that Earth's Navy, small as it is, knows how to fight. Remember this feeling. Remember what he said, because I promise you, we will make them eat those words." Light years away, in a facility hidden beneath Earth's Pacific Ocean, Admiral Mina Park watched the broadcast with cold, calculating eyes. Around her stood dozens of officers and engineers, all watching the same humiliation. Beside her, Dr. Yuna Kang, the lead scientist of humanity's most classified project, spoke quietly. "The fleet will hear about this. Morale will suffer." "Let it suffer," Admiral Park replied. "Let them feel this. Let them burn with it." She turned to Yuna. "Are we ready?" Yuna looked at the massive construction bay behind them, where something enormous waited in shadow. "The Titan and her sister ships are ready for their maiden voyage." Admiral Park nodded slowly. "Then it's time. It's time to remind the galaxy why humanity has survived every threat we've ever faced." Her voice grew harder. "We adapt. We innovate. And we never ever forget." The defense exposition on Sanctum Station happened once every 5 years, and it was always the same spectacle. The great powers of the Galactic Union displayed their newest weapons, their most advanced ships, their technological superiority. Smaller species watched with envy and took notes. Arms dealers made fortunes. Alliances shifted based on who had the biggest guns. This year's exposition promised to be the grandest yet. Supreme Commander Thexivar himself had teased something special from the Veltar Empire. Rumors spoke of a new class of dreadnought that would make their current fleet look outdated. Ambassador Jiho Lee walked through the exposition hall with his small delegation. Display after display showed weapons that could crack planets, shields that could withstand stars, engines that could cross the galaxy in weeks. Earth had a small booth near the back, draped with simple curtains. No holographic displays, no impressive models, just curtains. Other delegates walked past and whispered. Some laughed. Earth, always Earth, pretending to belong. Jiho bore it with the same quiet dignity he had maintained for 23 years. But inside, his heart hammered with anticipation. He knew what waited behind those curtains. He knew what Admiral Park had built in secret. In just a few hours, everything would change. The main presentation began in the central arena, a massive amphitheater that could hold 10,000 beings. Thexivar took the stage first, his forearms gesturing dramatically. "Honored colleagues, today we unveil the future of galactic defense. The Veltar Empire presents our new Worldbreaker-class dreadnought." Holographic projections filled the space above the arena. A ship materialized in light, 8 kilometers long, bristling with weapon batteries. Its armor was layered in sections, each section capable of regenerating. Its engines glowed with barely contained power. The crowd gasped and applauded. Even Jiho had to admit it was impressive. Terrifying, but impressive. 4 of these vessels are currently under construction, Thexivar continued. Within 2 years, the Veltar fleet will be unstoppable. This is the pinnacle of military engineering. More applause. The Quinn Collective's representative stood and offered congratulations. Other species followed. The Veltar had just raised the bar for everyone. Finally, after an hour of presentations from various species, the announcer called out, "The Earth delegation will now present." The murmuring began immediately. What could Earth possibly show? Their destroyer had been humiliated 2 weeks ago. Their entire navy was obsolete. This would be entertaining at least. Jiho walked to the central stage, his footsteps echoing in the sudden quiet. He looked up at the thousands of faces watching him, waiting for him to embarrass himself and his species once again. He smiled. "Fellow members of the Union," he began, his voice amplified across the arena. "For 23 years you have viewed humanity as inferior, primitive, weak. You have mocked our ships, questioned our technology, doubted our place among the stars." He paused, letting the words settle. "You were right to question us. Our destroyers and frigates could never match your dreadnoughts and cruisers. We could never compete with your centuries of advancement." Confused looks passed between delegates. Was the human actually agreeing with them? "So we stopped trying to compete," Jiho continued. "We stopped trying to match you. Instead, we decided to do what humanity has always done best. We innovated. We leaped forward. And today we show you the result." He gestured to the attendants at Earth's booth. The curtains fell away. The holographic display that activated was larger than any other in the arena. It showed a ship unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 15 kilometers long, broader than the Veltar dreadnought with a hull that looked more like a fortress than a vessel. Weapon ports covered every surface. The design was brutal, functional, terrifying in its simplicity. The crowd stared in silence. Then the whispers began. "Impossible. Computer graphics. A fantasy ship. Humans in their imagination." Someone laughed. Others joined in. It was clearly a desperate ploy, showing them a ship that couldn't possibly exist. Earth was trying to save face with fiction. Ambassador Jiho waited for the laughter to quiet. His smile never wavered. "I understand your skepticism," he said. "After all, how could primitive Earth build something your advanced species haven't achieved?" He tapped his communicator. "Captain Nam, if you would be so kind." For a moment nothing happened. Then every alarm in Sanctum Station began to scream. 3 jump signatures appeared on sensors simultaneously. 3 massive energy readings that made the station's defensive systems activate automatically. Every ship in orbit went to alert status. The view screens throughout the arena switched to external cameras. Space outside the station rippled and tore. Reality bent as something enormous forced its way through faster-than-light travel and into normal space. The ESS Titan emerged first, her hull blocking out stars. Even on the view screens, her size was overwhelming. 15 kilometers of warship, exactly as the hologram showed. Every detail matched. Every weapon port was real. The design that had seemed like fantasy was solid matter. Before the shock could fully register, 2 more jump signatures resolved. The ESS Goliath appeared to the station's port side. The ESS Leviathan materialized above them. 3 Titan-class warships, each one larger than anything the galaxy had ever built, surrounded Sanctum Station like silent judges. The arena fell into absolute silence. Delegates stood frozen, staring at the screens. Some had mouths open in shock. Others simply couldn't process what they were seeing. Thexfar's face had gone pale, his forearms hanging limp at his sides. The Worldbreaker-class dreadnought he had unveiled with such pride suddenly seemed small, inadequate, obsolete. A voice came through every speaker in the station, calm and professional. "This is Captain Junho Nam of the United Earthship Titan. We have accepted the Union's invitation to demonstrate our capabilities at the Defense Exposition. All 3 vessels of Earth's Titan-class fleet are present and awaiting your instructions." Jiho looked out at the stunned crowd. "As I said, we stopped trying to match you. We leaped past you instead." High Admiral Vortes, who had humiliated Captain Deho weeks earlier, rose slowly from his seat. His mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation in his species. This is not possible. The resources required, the technology, the time. 23 years, Jiho replied. "That's how much time you gave us. While you laughed at our small fleet, we were building these 3 prototype vessels, each one representing humanity's absolute best engineering, our most advanced weapons, our most innovative thinking." Admiral Park's hologram materialized beside Jiho on the stage. She wore her dress uniform, medals gleaming on her chest. "Every insult you directed at us, we remembered. Every time you called us primitive, we worked harder. Every time you dismissed us, we became more determined." She gestured to the view screens showing the 3 massive warships. "This is what happens when you underestimate an entire species. This is what happens when you give your opponent time and motivation. Chancellor Drex of the Union Council finally found his voice. The elderly statesman stood, his scales reflecting the light. Admiral Park, the Union Council was not informed of this project. Such weapons development should have been reported. Should have been? Park's expression hardened. We followed every rule in the Union Charter. We built ships for our own defense. We informed no one because no one asked. You were too busy laughing at us to notice what we were doing. The power balance, HFY started. The power balance has shifted. Jiho interrupted. That's what concerns you. Not that we broke rules because we didn't. Not that we threatened anyone, because we haven't. What concerns you is that the species you dismissed as children just grew up. Captain Nam's voice came through the speakers again. Earth's delegation, the Union Council, is requesting a formal capabilities demonstration. Are we authorized to comply? Jiho looked at Admiral Park's hologram. She nodded. He turned back to the arena. Captain Nam, you are authorized. Show them what the Titan class can do. On the view screens, the three ships began to move. Despite their enormous size, they maneuvered with grace that made the watching military officers gasp. The Titan executed a barrel roll that should have been impossible for something so massive. The Goliath accelerated from standstill to combat speed in seconds. The Leviathan's shields activated, creating a barrier of energy so powerful that nearby sensor equipment overloaded. Advanced materials science, Admiral Park explained as the demonstration continued. Breakthrough fusion drives. Adaptive artificial intelligence for tactical coordination. Weapon systems that can strike targets at ranges 40% greater than current Union standard. Armor that regenerates. Shields that adapt to enemy fire patterns. She paused, letting them absorb the information. We invested everything into these three ships. Every resource we had. Every brilliant mind we could find. Every innovation we could develop. You taught us we couldn't compete with quantity, so we focused on quality. The demonstration continued for 30 minutes. The three Titan-class ships displayed capabilities that left military experts scrambling to recalculate everything they thought they knew about naval warfare. Weapon ranges that shouldn't be possible, maneuverability that defied physics, shield strength that exceeded theoretical maximums. The Union Defense Council met in emergency session 3 hours after the revelation. The mood in the chamber was tense, uncertain. Power had shifted and no one knew exactly what that meant yet. Chancellor Drex called the session to order with visible effort. The Council acknowledges that Earth's Titan-class vessels represent a significant development in military capability. However, demonstrations in empty space prove little. We must understand these ships' actual combat effectiveness. Thexvar rose, his forearms crossed in a gesture of controlled anger. I propose a formal evaluation. Let these Titans prove themselves against our established fleet standards. If they are as powerful as claimed, they should have no difficulty. Ambassador Jiho stood. What exactly are you proposing, Commander? A series of controlled tests. Shield endurance, weapons accuracy, tactical coordination, and finally a combat simulation against our finest vessels. Thexvar's eyes narrowed. Unless Earth is afraid to put its new toys to the test? Jiho smiled. He had expected this. Pride demanded it. We accept on one condition. Make it a real test. Don't hold back. You may regret that request, Vortes said from his seat. His mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Very well. We will select the finest ships and crews the Union can offer. If your Titans are truly superior, you will prove it. The tests were scheduled for the following day in an empty system designated for military exercises. Word spread quickly through Union space. Everyone wanted to witness this. The upstart humans with their mysterious superships against the established power of the galactic military. Captain Junho Nam stood on the bridge of the Titan, reviewing the test parameters. Beside him, his first officer, Major Huan Yun, frowned at his datapad. They're bringing 7 ships, sir, including the new Veltar Worldbreaker-class dreadnought, the pride of Veltar herself commanded by their best captain. Good, Junho replied. If we're going to do this, we do it properly. What's the crew status? Excited, mostly. Some nervous. They all know what's at stake. Chief Tactical Officer Sujiro turned from her console. Sir, I've analyzed the opposing ship's capabilities. On paper, their combined firepower exceeds ours by 18%. Their shields together could theoretically outlast our weapons. On paper, Junho repeated. But wars aren't won on paper, are they? No, sir. The test began at dawn on Sanctum Station's time. The first evaluation was shield endurance. 3 Union cruisers would fire on the Titan's shields with all weapons at maximum power for 5 minutes. Then the same test would be repeated on the Pride of Veltar. The Titan moved into position, her massive bulk dwarfing the 3 attacking ships. Yunyo gave the order to raise shields. Energy barriers flickered into existence around the ship. Layers of protective force fields generated by technology Earth had developed specifically for these vessels. Firing in 3, 2, 1, announced the test coordinator. The 3 cruisers opened fire simultaneously. Plasma bolts, kinetic rounds, and energy beams hammered into the Titan's shields. The barrage was continuous, relentless. On other ships, such an assault would have collapsed shields within a minute. The Titan's shields held. Suji monitored her console, calling out readings. Shield integrity at 92%. 90%. Adapting to plasma frequency. Back up to 91%. The shields were learning, adjusting to the incoming fire patterns and becoming more resistant. By the end of 5 minutes, they stood at 87%. The same test on the Pride of Veltar resulted in shield collapse at 43% capacity. The difference was stark, undeniable. Watching delegates in the observation ships fell silent. The second test measured weapons range and accuracy. Suji took control, demonstrating the Titan's primary rail cannon system. The targets were placed at the maximum effective range of standard Union weapons. Targets acquired, Suji reported. Firing. The rail cannons spoke with a deep thrumming that resonated through the ship's hull. Magnetic acceleration drove solid projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. The targets, reinforced asteroids placed at extreme range, simply ceased to exist. Perfect accuracy at maximum Union range. The test coordinator confirmed. Repeat test at 20% extended range. Suji adjusted her calculations. The targets were now 40% farther than standard Union weapons could effectively engage. She fired again. The asteroids exploded in sequence, each shot perfectly placed. Impossible, someone whispered over the open channel. Not impossible, Admiral Park's voice cut in from her command ship. Just better engineering. The third test was maneuverability. This was where the Titan should have failed. Ships this large simply couldn't move with any grace. Everyone knew that. Physics demanded it. Junho proved them wrong. He put the Titan through combat maneuvers that would challenge a frigate. The massive warship spun, dove, accelerated, and stopped with precision that made veteran pilots shake their heads in disbelief. The revolutionary drive systems Earth had developed allowed thrust vectoring in ways conventional engines couldn't match. How? Thexvar demanded over the channel. How is this possible? We asked ourselves what was impossible, Junho replied. Then we figured out how to do it anyway. The final test was the one everyone truly wanted to see. The combat simulation. 3 Titan-class ships against 7 of the Union's finest vessels, including the Pride of Veltar, 2 Quinn cruisers, and 4 destroyers from various species. The rules were simple. Sensors and simulations only, but fight as if it were real. The engagement would end when one side achieved total victory or surrendered. Both fleets moved to starting positions 10,000 kilometers apart. Yunho established a command link with Captain Hana Song on the Goliath and Captain Minho Bayek on the Leviathan. Remember the plan, he told them. Coordination is everything. They're expecting us to fight like them, ship against ship. We won't. Understood, Hana replied. Ready when you are. Leviathan is ready, Minho added. The test coordinator's voice cut through the tension. All ships ready? Begin engagement in 3, 2, 1 mark. What followed was 17 minutes of tactical brilliance. The Union fleet advanced in standard formation, powerful but predictable. They expected the Titans to meet them head-on to trade firepower for firepower. Instead, the 3 Earth ships split apart, using their superior speed to flank the enemy formation. Junho commanded the attack like a symphony. Hana target their lead cruiser's shield generators. Minho micro-jump to these coordinates in 10 seconds. I'll draw their fire. The Titan surged forward, all weapons blazing. The Union ships focused on the apparent threat, concentrating their fire on Junho's shields. It was exactly what he wanted. 10 seconds later, space rippled and the Leviathan appeared directly above the enemy formation, emerging from a perfectly calculated micro-jump. Every weapon on her ventral hull locked onto targets below. Firing, Minho announced calmly. The simulation registered devastating hits on 4 ships simultaneously. Their shields, already partially depleted from maneuvering, couldn't handle the sudden assault from above. Meanwhile, Hana brought the Goliath around the enemy's flank. Suji had been right about the combined firepower advantage, but that assumed the Titans would sit still and trade shots. They didn't. They moved like predators, striking from unexpected angles, never giving the enemy a clean shot. The Pride of Veltar tried to turn the tide. Her captain was experienced, skilled. He recognized the strategy and attempted to force a direct engagement. But the Titans were faster, more maneuverable. Every time the Dreadnought tried to bring its full armament to bear, its targets had already moved. Their coordination is perfect, Vortes observed over the command channel, his earlier smugness gone. They fight as one ship. Because they're linked by advanced AI tactical systems, Admiral Park explained. Each ship knows what the others are doing instantly. They can execute complex maneuvers that would require hours of planning for traditional fleets. The end came quickly. The Titan disabled 2 destroyers with precise railgun fire. The Goliath's plasma lances burned through a cruiser's shields and registered a catastrophic reactor hit. The Leviathan trapped the Pride of Veltar between herself and a minefield the Union fleet had tried to deploy, forcing the Dreadnought to either take damage or break formation. When Minho executed his final move, even the watching observers gasped. The Leviathan vanished from sensors and reappeared directly above the Pride of Veltar, all weapons trained on the Dreadnought's bridge. The position was perfect, inescapable. In a real battle, Minho transmitted coldly, you would all be debris. Silence filled the command channels. The simulation ended with all 7 Union ships registered as destroyed or disabled. The 3 Titans had taken damage but remained fully operational. Chancellor Drex's voice came over the channel, shaken. The test is concluded. Earth's vessels have demonstrated clear superiority. In the observation ship, High Admiral Vortes stood and requested permission to speak. When granted, he turned to Ambassador Jiho. How? He asked simply. How did you accomplish this? Admiral Park answered. You taught us an important lesson, Admiral. You showed us we couldn't compete with your technology, not directly, so we stopped trying. We invested everything into making something better. 23 years of research, development, and construction. The emergency session of the Galactic Union Council convened 3 days after the demonstration. The mood in the chamber had changed completely from the last meeting. Where before there had been dismissive amusement toward Earth, now there was caution. Fear even, though few would admit it. Ambassador Jiho Lee sat in a different seat now, not in the upper tiers reserved for minor members, but down at the main level with the Security Council. It was a small physical change that represented an enormous shift in power. Chancellor Drex opened the session with formal acknowledgement of Earth's new status. Then the real discussion began. The Council must address the sudden shift in military capability, began Representative Koss of the Morvan sovereignty. 3 ships, however powerful, have fundamentally altered the balance of power in Union space. This creates instability. Instability for whom? Jiho asked calmly. Earth has made no threats. We've claimed no new territory. We've simply revealed that we're no longer the weakest member of this union. Thexvar rose, his forearms moving in a gesture of controlled frustration. You deceived us. For 23 years you built weapons in secret while claiming to be peaceful. We built defensive ships while enduring your constant mockery, Jiho corrected. Every time we asked for respect, you laughed. Every time we sought partnership, you dismissed us. What did you expect us to do? Simply accept inferior status forever? Admiral Park's hologram materialized beside Jiho. Commander Thexvar raises an interesting point about deception. Let me ask the Council this. Did anyone ever actually ask us about our military development? Did any intelligence service attempt to gather information about what Earth was building? Silence answered her. The truth was uncomfortable but clear. The galactic powers had been so confident in their superiority that they hadn't bothered to check whether the primitive humans might be working on something. Significant you didn't ask because you didn't care, Park continued. We were beneath your notice. That was your mistake, not our deception. Vortes clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. The Admiral is correct. We underestimated Earth. Some might say we earned this surprise. He turned to address the full council. The question now is not how this happened, but what we do about it. And I propose we do the intelligent thing. Which is? Chancellor Drex asked. Accept reality. Earth has these ships. They demonstrated clear superiority in every test. We can either treat them as the major power they've become, or we can create an enemy through our pride. Fortes looked directly at Jiho. I propose we move forward as true partners. It was a stunning reversal from the admiral who had humiliated Captain Deho weeks earlier. But Vortes had always been practical, and he recognized that circumstances had changed. The Veltar delegation was less accepting. One of Thexvar's subordinates stood. The Council should demand that Earth share the technology behind these Titan-class ships. If we're to accept them as equals, they should help elevate the entire Union's military capability. No, Admiral Park said flatly. Earth will share some technologies related to shields and sensors. We'll provide tactical coordination protocols, but the complete specifications of the Titan-class ships remain classified Earth military property. That's unacceptable, the Veltar officer protested. That's reality, Jiho replied. We spent 23 years and enormous resources developing these ships. We're not simply handing you the ability to build your own. Would you share your most advanced military secrets with us? The Veltar officer had no answer to that. Chancellor Drex raised a hand for silence. Earth's position is reasonable. They will share some technology, which is more than many of us would offer in their situation. The Council will accept this compromise. The formal vote followed. Earth's Security Council seat was confirmed permanently. More importantly, several key provisions were added to Union law acknowledging Earth's sovereignty over its military, development and prohibiting economic sanctions against members who refused complete technology sharing. As the session concluded, a junior aide approached Jiho with an urgent message. He read it quickly, then requested permission to address the Council once more. Chancellor, I've just received word that 3 Union member species have requested Earth's military assistance. The frontier worlds of Kelvos, Draith, and Senna 7 are facing increased raids from extragalactic forces. They're asking if our Titan-class ships might help secure their space. Murmuring filled the chamber. This was the real test. Would Earth use its new power to help others, or would it become another dominating force demanding tribute? Jiho let the question hang for a moment. Then he smiled. Admiral Park, what's the Titan fleet's status? Ready to deploy, Ambassador. We can reach the frontier in 4 days. Then I propose Earth accept this mission on one condition. Jiho looked around the chamber. We help as equals, not as subordinates. Not as mercenaries. We're partners in defense, all of us. Earth will send our Titan-class ships to the frontier. We ask only that other Union members send support vessels and coordinate with our commanders. It was a careful political move. By requesting support from other species, Earth avoided appearing as a conquering force, while also demonstrating that the Titans alone didn't make them invincible. Chancellor Drex nodded approvingly. The Council accepts Earth's terms. This chamber is grateful for your assistance. 4 days later, the 3 Titan-class ships emerged from FTL Jump at the edge of Kelvos system. With them came a fleet of Union vessels, smaller but eager to prove their worth alongside the new superships. Captain Junho Nam stood on the Titan's bridge, surveying the tactical situation. The raiders had been hitting frontier worlds for months, appearing from unknown space, attacking mining colonies and transport ships, then vanishing before Union forces could respond. Sir, we're detecting multiple unidentified ships near Kelvos 3, reported Sujiro. They match the profile of the raiders. 15 vessels, destroyer class. Good, Junho said. They're about to learn that the frontier has new defenders. All ships, this is Titan Actual. We're going to demonstrate why attacking Union space is no longer profitable. Coordinate with our allied vessels. Let's show them how Earth fights. What followed was a textbook example of the new reality in Union space. The Titan-class ships, working in coordination with smaller Union vessels, caught the raiders completely by surprise. The battle was short, decisive. Several raider ships were destroyed. The rest fled back into unknown space. But more importantly, the mission demonstrated that Earth's power could be used for the benefit of all Union members. The frontier world sent messages of gratitude. Other species began to see Earth not as a threat, but as a valuable ally. Back on Earth, in her office in Geneva, Admiral Mina Park reviewed the mission reports with satisfaction. A message appeared on her secure terminal. She opened it and read quickly, then allowed herself a rare smile. Dr. Yuna Kang had sent an update from the shipyards. 2 more Titan-class vessels were in early construction phases. In 5 years, Earth would have a fleet of 5. In 10 years, possibly 8. Not enough to dominate the galaxy, but enough to ensure no one would ever dismiss humanity again. A communication request came through from Captain Deho Kim. Park accepted it, and the captain's face appeared on her screen. "Admiral, I wanted to thank you." "For what, Captain?" "For not giving up. After my defeat in that exercise, I thought we'd be a laughingstock forever. Now I've been offered command of the New Frontier Defense Initiative. They want me to coordinate between the Titan fleet and the local security forces." Park nodded. "You earned it, Deho. That defeat showed the galaxy that Earth's Navy fights with skill and determination. It set the stage for the Titans to prove our true capability. You were part of this victory." After the call ended, Park stood and walked to her office window. Geneva sprawled below her, peaceful and safe. Above, in orbit, she could see the defense platforms that Earth had built alongside the Titans. Not as impressive, but functional. Earth's entire defense network had been upgraded. Her communicator chimed again. This time it was Ambassador Jiho. "We have a situation, Admiral. A new species just made contact with the Union. They're from a distant sector, and they specifically asked to meet with Earth's representatives. It seems our demonstration at Sanctum got their attention. Hostile? Unknown. They say they're impressed by our technological leap. They want to discuss trade and possible alliance," Park smiled. "The galaxy is finally taking us seriously." "Yes, though I think we created a new problem." "What's that?" "Now every species is trying to figure out how we did it. Half the Union wants to copy us. The other half wants to make sure we don't get any more powerful. We've gone from being ignored to being the center of attention." "I'm not sure which is more dangerous," Park laughed. "We'll manage. We always have." The ambassador's expression grew serious. "What happens now, Mina? We have the ships. We have the power. We have the respect. What's our next move?" Park considered the question carefully. "We prove that Earth deserves this position. We help defend Union space. We share what we can while protecting what we must. We show them that humanity isn't interested in conquest or domination. We're interested in survival, partnership, and being treated fairly. And if other species try to challenge us, then we remind them why challenging Earth is a mistake.